At exactly 6:40 in the morning, a man named Aaron checked his bank account and saw almost nothing. Not negative, not positive, just close enough to zero that it felt personal. He sat on the edge of his bed for a few seconds, staring at the number like it was a verdict. Zero. No house, no investment portfolio, no luxury car, no business with his name on it, no impressive financial story to tell it. He was behind. If social media measured him, he had failed. That same morning, across town, a man named Marcus woke up in a house worth over $1 million. The floors were polished. The kitchen looked like something from a magazine. There were 2 cars in the driveway, both expensive enough to make people turn their heads. Marcus was the kind of man people described with one word: successful. And if you only looked at the surface, the story was already finished. Marcus was winning, Aaron was not. But by the end of this story, the man with zero would be freer than the millionaire. And the reason has almost nothing to do with money. Marcus did not become a millionaire by accident. He worked hard, he was disciplined, he understood ambition. In his 30s, he had climbed faster than most of his friends. He bought the house early. He upgraded the car before anyone expected it. He wore the confidence of a man who had receipts for his progress. People respected him. His parents mentioned him proudly. His friends asked for advice. Even people who disliked him still measured themselves against him. That is the strange power of visible wealth. It does not ask for permission. It enters the room before you do. Marcus knew this. And over time, the life he built became more than a lifestyle. It became proof that the sacrifices were worth it. Proof that the long hours meant something. Proof that he had escaped the ordinary life he feared. But there was something Marcus never said out loud. The house did not feel like freedom anymore. It felt like a standard he had to maintain. The cars did not feel like rewards anymore. They felt like evidence he could not afford to contradict. The watch, the restaurants, the school fees, the vacations, the memberships, the image. Everything had become part of a machine. And every month, the machine sent him a bill. Aaron's life looked smaller. He rented a simple apartment. He used public transport when it made sense. He owned few things that impressed anyone. If you visited his place, you would not assume he had a secret plan. There was no luxury minimalism, no expensive simplicity, no rich person aesthetic disguised as discipline. Just an ordinary life. But Aaron had something Marcus had slowly lost. He could move, not physically, financially. If Aaron lost his job, the world would not collapse in 30 days. If he needed to change cities, he could. If he hated his work, he had room to leave. If an opportunity appeared, he could take it without asking 10 monthly payments for permission. This is the part most people miss. A zero net worth does not always mean someone is weak. Sometimes it means they are light. No heavy debt, no lifestyle pretending to be identity. No expensive image that must be defended. No house that owns the calendar. No car payment sitting quietly inside tomorrow's paycheck. Aaron had almost nothing. But almost nothing was also the reason very little controlled him. One evening, Aaron and Marcus met at a dinner arranged by an old friend. They had not seen each other in years. Marcus arrived first. The car keys landed on the table before the conversation did. Not intentionally, not arrogantly, just naturally, the way expensive objects announce themselves. Aaron arrived a few minutes later, calm, slightly tired, and carrying nothing that revealed anything about his life. The conversation moved the way these conversations always move. Work, property, money, school, investments, inflation, the cost of everything. Someone asked Marcus how things were going. He smiled and said, "Busy, but good." Everyone understood that answer. It is what successful people say when they are too tired to explain the price of looking successful. Then someone asked Aaron the same question. He paused, then said, "I'm thinking of taking 6 months off." The table went quiet for half a second. 6 months off sounded lazy. It sounded impossible. Marcus looked at him carefully. 6 months off? From what? With what money? For what reason? Aaron explained that he wanted to help his brother start a small repair business, spend more time with his mother, and decide whether to continue in his current career. No drama, no big speech, just a decision. Marcus smiled politely, but inside, something moved. He had $1 million net worth, and he could not imagine taking 6 weeks off. That night, Marcus opened his laptop and looked at his own numbers. The house had value, the cars had value, the retirement accounts had value, the business shares had value. The total looked impressive. He was not lying when he said he was a millionaire. But then he looked at the other side. The mortgage, the car loans, the private school fees, the maintenance, the insurance, the lifestyle costs, the family expectations, the social commitments, the taxes, the invisible price of being seen as successful. His net worth was high, but his usable freedom was low. That was the sentence he could not escape. High net worth, low usable freedom. Because wealth on paper is not the same as wealth you can use. A house can make you a millionaire and still trap most of your money inside walls. A luxury car can appear as an asset while quietly behaving like a drain. A business can have value and still demand every hour of your life. Marcus realized that his wealth was real, but much of it was locked. Locked in assets, locked in obligations, locked in identity, locked in the fear of stepping backward in front of people who had watched him rise. A few days later, Marcus called Aaron. At first, the conversation was casual. Then Marcus asked the question that had been bothering him. How are you taking time off when you have almost nothing? Aaron laughed softly. I don't have almost nothing, he said. I have almost nothing that needs feeding. That sentence stayed in the air. Aaron explained that he had some emergency cash. Not a fortune, just enough. He had no car loan, no expensive rent, no debt attached to his name, no lifestyle that required constant performance. His net worth was close to zero, but his burn rate was low. His monthly life was cheap to keep alive. And because of that, a small amount of money could buy him a surprising amount of time. Marcus had more assets, but Marcus also had a life that burned money quickly. Aaron had fewer assets, but his life burned slowly. That was the real scoreboard. Not who owned more, who needed less to stay free. Because financial freedom is not only about the size of your pile, it is about the size of the fire burning underneath it.
This is why some millionaires feel broke. Because their wealth is surrounded by claims. A lifestyle, family expectation, neighborhood and reputation has a claim. Even success itself can have a claim. Once people know you as the person who made it, it becomes strangely painful to make simpler choices. You do not just downgrade a car. You downgrade a story. You do not just sell a house. Marcus was not trapped by poverty. He was trapped by continuity. The life had to keep looking like the life. The man had to keep looking like the man. The success had to remain visible. And visible success is hungry. It eats cash. It eats time. It eats peace. And if you feed it long enough, it begins to look like achievement while quietly behaving like a cage.
6 months later, Aaron helped his brother open the repair shop. It was small, nothing cinematic, a narrow space, a few tools, a painted sign, and the nervous hope that the first customer would walk in. Some days were slow, some days felt foolish, but Aaron felt something he had not felt in years. His time belonged to him. Marcus visited once. He stood outside the shop, looking at the simple sign above the door. It was not impressive, not compared to his house, not compared to his office, not compared to the world he had built, but it had something his life did not have. It could still become many things. Marcus drove home that evening in a car people admired and felt a thought he could not easily dismiss. Maybe wealth was not the same as height. Maybe it was not about how tall your life looked from the outside. Maybe wealth was more like architecture. The strength was not in the paint, the glass, or the shine. The strength was in the load-bearing structure. And suddenly, Aaron's life did not look empty. It looked unfinished. That was the difference. Marcus had built something impressive that was difficult to move. Aaron had built almost nothing, which meant he could still build almost anything. So yes, your $0 net worth might still beat most millionaires. Not if zero means chaos. Not if zero means debt, panic, and no plan. But if zero comes with low obligations, useful skills, health, courage, mobility, and time, then you may have something many millionaires secretly want. You have optionality, and optionality is the quiet form of wealth that never appears on a bank statement. Net worth tells the world what you have accumulated. Optionality tells you what your life can still become. And sometimes, the person with the smaller number has the bigger future.